Okay, so this is the day one, or at least our first titration for the lemonade lab. So our buffer lab. So what we're going to do is I've got citric acid here in the burette. Or not citric acid in the burette, my apologies. This is our standardized base. So this was our standardized base from the last lab where we standardized it. We figured out it was 0.09924 molar NaOH. I'm actually going to dilute this by 50%. I used a relatively accurate measuring device, so we'll say it's still 4 significant figures, but you're going to want to divide this by 2. So I'm going to dilute this by 50%, and then I put it inside my burette. So what I have in here is whatever, half the concentration was of the original base. The reason is because the citric acid is a really low concentration, so roughly 0.1 molar would be too fast. The titration would happen in just 2 or 3 milliliters. So we're going to kind of drag it out. What you guys are going to need to do, like the directions say, is you're going to write down the pH change as I call the time on the pH meter like we did in the previous lab, every half milliliter. So I'm going to do it every half milliliter instead of every milliliter like we did the last time. So anyway, come on over here. I've got 20 milliliters of our citric acid here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our citric acid solution to the beaker. And I'm going to lower my pH probe down in there. Let's see. Lower my pH probe down in there. I've already calibrated my pH probe kind of ahead of time. The kids actually did a lab in here today, so we calibrated them before that lab. And I'm going to rinse my pH probe real well. And then I'm going to lower it down into the solution. There we go. Careful not to hit the actual magnetic stirring device so it doesn't whack our pH probe. So get that down in there. Make sure this is going to spin freely, like so. There we go. Looks pretty well. Put our buffer solution up there. And then I'm going to start the titration here. So Tanya's going to put that on there, and I'm going to lower it in, and I'm going to tell you, but that should be our starting point right there. So that 2.28 or so, whatever it is right now. Go ahead and write that down as your initial pH reading. Actually, it's kind of moving all over the place. Let's just say we start it right there, and I'm going to add 0.5 milliliter increments, and I'll tell you when to go ahead and write one down. So there's still our starting pH. I'm now adding, I just added half a milliliter. So go ahead and write that down. And like we talked about last time, it's going to vary. But since we're going to do this, we're going to do it twice, by the way. So since we're going to do it twice, and we're going to take so many readings, it'll kind of work out. So take that as your first reading after the starting point. So that'd be your second pH reading. I'm adding another half a milliliter now. Done. So go ahead and mark that as your second one, or your third pH reading, I guess. I'm adding another. So take a reading now. I'm going to go ahead and add another. Take a reading now. We're going to do this until we get to a pH of about 11.5, 11.5. So I'm adding another. So take a reading now. Adding another half milliliter. Take a reading now. Add another half. Take a reading now. Go ahead and take another reading now. Go ahead and take another reading now. Should start to kind of pick up a little bit. Go ahead and take another reading now. Go ahead and take a reading now. Go ahead and take another reading now. Go ahead and take another reading now. Go ahead and take another reading right now. Getting closer. Go ahead and take a reading now. Go Go ahead and take a reading now. I'm adding half milliliter increments is why we're taking so many data points. Maybe we'll get a better result. I'm going to go ahead and take a reading now. Go ahead and take a reading now. Go ahead and take a reading now. You can close the door. Go ahead and take another reading right now. Go ahead and take a reading now. Just be consistent when you're taking them when I say them and you'd be okay. Go ahead and take a reading now. Go ahead and take a reading right now. Go ahead and take a reading right there, right now. Go ahead and take a reading now. We're getting close to 11.5. I'm going to take a few more. Go ahead and take a reading right now. Go ahead and take a reading now. We'll do one more data point. And go ahead and take a reading now. So that should be, go ahead, pick it up. That should be our first titration. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up for a second titration. We'll do the exact same thing. We'll take it every half milliliter. I just need to get together some more acid real quickly and clean this out. So I'll see you guys in just a second.